Howdy folks, I'm Darren and welcome to Cross Timbers Outside. Thank you for being outside with us today. It is early April here in the mountains, and if you're familiar with weather in the mountains, it's like the tides of the ocean this time of year. We go from 80 degrees for 2 or 3 days in a row back down to 42, 43. It's about 55 degrees right now and windy. It's blew in a little bit of a cold front, and the weather's like a roller coaster here in the mountains in the spring and again in the fall. We go from, you think, wow, summer has finally broke, to the next day you got your winter coat back on. We're out in the woods today and we are checking on some wild edible forage foods that we're looking for. We're along a little spring creek, or a branch, what we call a branch here in the mountains. A lot of people call it a creek or a crick, but these are little tiny branches where the spring comes out of the ground, the headwaters, and it runs down these valleys. And usually if you're within, you know, a half a mile or closer of the head of the spring where the water's coming right out of the ground, it's really small. We call those branches, until several branches join together to form a creek. But right now we're going along a branch and we're looking for wild branch lettuce. And if you don't know what branch lettuce is, it's a wild edible that grows in very shallow, clear, cool mountain spring branches. Branch lettuce is not going to grow in any kind of contaminated water system, and it's usually in the mountains here in Appalachia. And I don't know of anywhere else across the country, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, where branch lettuce grows. This is a very regional wild edible that is a delicacy. It's called branch lettuce. It's similar to wild lettuce, and we fix it with ramps and scrambled eggs, and you do what's called kilt, K-I-L-T. You kill it. You take this wild lettuce and you put it in a cast iron skillet, and you pour hot bacon grease over it, and it kilts it. Kilt branch lettuce. And you cook it in the same pan with your scrambled eggs or your wild ramps. By the way, if you hear someone call these mountains Appalachia, they're a tourist. That's not what it's called. Take it from someone that was born and raised and grew up around the old timers here in the mountains my whole life. I never ever heard somebody call these mountains Appalachia until I got older and got around some people that had moved into the area. If you want somebody to know you're not from this area, or want them to know you're a tourist, when you're out and about and you're running into people in general stores, if you use the term Appalachia, people will look at you out of the corner of their eye. It don't mean they don't like you or anything like that. They're just going to know you're not from here and that you're a terrorist. I started to say terrorist, a tourist. So, it's Appalachia, not Appalachia. Okay, let's go see what we can find to get some, if we can find any branch lettuce. We're going to keep our eyes open for some morel mushrooms as well. Matter of fact, I think before I walk down this branch, I know a place over here where there's all kind of old apple trees, and some of them don't even bloom more. Some of them's dead, but some of them still has blooms on them and produces apples. Morel mushrooms love to grow around the roots of old apple trees. Let's go look and see if there might be some in that area. And you know, while we're out walking here, have you ever, I'm talking to the men here, have you ever shook hands with another fella and you stick your hand out and you shake his hand and his grip is like a lady's and he don't really grip your hand to shake it. And when you notice when you shake his hand feels like a bowl of mashed potatoes, soft and tender, indicating he does not work with his hands. He's never worked with his hands. Kind of gross. It freaks me out a little bit. I'm used to men that work and are rugged men and masculinity and things like that. Now there's a lot to say about masculinity. Some people in this society we live in today have a warped idea of what masculinity is. My dad was the perfect example of a masculine man's man. And here is some of his best traits. My dad was the head of his house. And my dad set the rules in our house, and he was the boss in our house, and everybody in our house knew it. If Dad told us to get some chores done, we knew we better get it done. However, my dad loved me and my siblings and my mother unconditionally. He treated my mother like the queen that she was. He was wholeheartedly, whole body, soul, and mind, everything, in love with my mother. And he treated her that way. He treated us that way. Now, there come a time for discipline. If we back-talked him or did not follow his orders, he'd give you a warning. My dad was not harsh, but he meant what he said and said what he meant. And a quality my dad had, what I'm getting at here, my dad, his whole life, every day of his life, he had a pocket knife in his pocket. Of the mornings when I get up, every morning, I put my trousers, pants, jeans, whatever you want to call them, I put my pants on, and before I even put socks on, a shirt, anything, a pocket knife goes in my pocket. I couldn't tell you how many times that I use a pocket knife throughout the day. I just use them about continuously. And it just kind of bumfuzzles me that the men that don't carry a pocket knife. And I just kind of shake my head, why? Now, I understand if you have an office job where you can't carry a knife, a pocket knife, it's against the rules of the establishment wherever you work or whatever. Or if you're going on school grounds or in the courthouse or in the police department or something like that where any kind of weapon is prohibited. And I'm not talking about a pocket knife as a weapon, although it could be. I'm talking about just an everyday carry. I've got this little bitty case XX that I carry in my pocket. I don't like a heavy pocket knife in my pocket. I like a light one in my pocket that I carry, a folder. And this is a little case XX 2-blade. And let me open the blade and show you. This is the big blade. If you can see that. And it's a 2-blade. This is a case XX. That's my favorite brand of pocket knife. Now, my dad carried the USA made old timers. That was his favorite pocket knife. He would tell you his second favorite pocket knife was a case XX. And when my dad passed away, he had a drawer in his kitchen, in the kitchen cabinets. He had a drawer that was absolutely full of pocket knives. He carried a pocket knife every day, all day, until he went to bed at night. It went back on his nightstand, and the first thing in the morning when he got up, that pocket knife went back in his jeans pocket. I'm the same way. Not only do I carry a pocket knife, but 90% of the time I've got a belt knife on too. This was made by Custom Knife Smith, and this is a fantastic knife. This is patterned after the old Schrade sharp fingers, and I had a custom knife sheath made for it for my belt. I use these knives daily, and I don't understand somebody, especially a man, that don't carry a pocket knife. When I meet a guy that don't carry a pocket knife, I just kind of look at him a little bit out of the corner of my eye like, what's wrong with you? You know, I mean, to me, a pocket knife is a indicator. It's not the sign. A guy that's got a pocket knife in his pocket all the time, that's an indicator to me that that's a man that can pull his own weight and do his own work. That may be strange to some of you folks, and if you're easily offended, this video might not be for you. But we got a warped sense of masculinity in today's society. A whole lot of people think masculinity is being a jerk and being bossy and picking fights with people. Masculinity is just the opposite. It's the guy that has passion for his wife and his family and the things he loves to do, but also has kindness and humbleness and is meek, but you better not cross him. Like Dwayne Noel said on Dry Creek Wrangler School one time, usually the most dangerous man in the room is not the guy over here running his mouth and loud at the bar and screaming and yelling and cussing and everybody can hear him, being the loud mouth. He's not the most dangerous man in that room. The most dangerous man in the room is the one sitting over in the corner quietly, minding his own business, not messing with nobody, has a friendly demeanor about him, is humble, quiet, minds his own business, but you better not cross him. Let's see if we can find some morels. Look at this old apple tree. Can you see it? This one's still putting out apples. We got an old autumn olive here beside it, but this old apple tree is still producing. This is an old tree, and there may not be no morels in here because this is very, very swampy in here. But it's worth looking. Okay, no morels in that area. I don't know if maybe just a little too swampy in there or what, but I'm glad to see the apple trees are blooming. They was deer sign galore in that little swampy bottom. Anybody can sit down in there with a black powder rifle during the season, or with archery gear, and shoot a deer probably in a matter of hours. But anyway, all kind of buck rubs in there, a couple of old scrapes up through there from last fall. A lot of deer sign. Okay, we did not find any morels in that area. So thick and brushy, I turned the camera off through part of it. But now we're gonna go back to this branch. We're gonna walk this branch down and see if we can't find some branch lettuce. Maybe even a morel down that way. We're gonna keep our eyes open. I'm gonna show you this little branch. It runs right down this bottom. This is a prime place for branch lettuce. I'm not seeing any yet, but that don't mean there ain't some down through here somewhere. See the water? See the water? It's flowing very slow. That is pure Mountain Spring Creek water. The head of this branch is only about 25 yards up the hill, where the water's coming right out of the ground. And you can see it's flowing really slow, a gradual descent. Exactly what we're looking for. These are the prime places for branch lettuce. Now the water does have to be flowing and moving. Can't be stagnant. But you can see it's moving. And it's pure clean water. I wouldn't mind at all to kneel down and get a drink of water right out of this. All right, let's see what we can find. There's a lot of blowdowns, trees down in this area from Hurricane Helene a year and a half ago. Just a lot of them. But in any event, we're going to navigate all this and try to follow this little branch and see what we can find. Okay, there's another branch right over here about 50 yards away, and it's forming like a Y. There's a spring head over here and then one over here, and right down here they're going to join and make the branch a little bit bigger. Not a creek yet, still a branch, but it's going to get a little bigger. Both these little branches go subterranean. and both of them reappear on top of the ground right down here and join. Okay, this is very, very swampy, and I'm walking a log to step out of that muck so I don't sink all the way to my boots. So I don't sink over the top of my boots. Okay, right here's where one of these creeks resurfaces. Let me get around where you can see it. Look where it's coming out of the ground. Right here. Back out of the ground. Folks, look at all these blowdowns. Okay. If you come down through here, look under that blowdown right there. I'm pretty sure I see a huge patch of branch lettuce. Let's climb over there over all these tree trunks, these down trees, and go look. It looks like young branch lettuce. We may have just hit the jackpot. Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna spin the camera around. I'm gonna have to hunker down to get back in there to where that branch lettuce is under all these blowdowns. Wow, look at this. Branch lettuce. Look at that, look at that. We have hit the jackpot. Okay, I'm squatted down here where all this branch lettuce is. And I'm gonna pick me a leaf here. Look at that. Man, this stuff is delicious. It's got a sweet smell. That's good. Anytime you're foraging, looking for wild edibles, never over harvest. Get only what you need to eat or what you want. If there's 3 plants, let's pretend there's three little patches of branch lettuce right here is all. Only harvest 1 and leave 2. Always leave more than you get. If there's only 1 little patch of branch lettuce right here, I would just leave. I would not touch it. I'd leave it be and let it do its thing so it could produce more. And I'm not sure if branch lettuce grows through seed or if it grows through the rhizomes and the roots. The roots are really, really shallow because it grows basically in water. And I mean, it can grow up on the bank a little bit, but it's going to be in or near, very near water. So the roots are really shallow. I can reach down right now and grab one of these bunches of branch lettuce and pull on it and pull the roots and everything up very easily. It'll come up out of the ground easily. That's why during spring floods, sometimes it can wash it away. And it'll end up downriver further somewhere. It'll surface again maybe if it stays in clear, cool, clean water. But we sure don't want to over harvest this. We want to harvest only what we can have for a meal in a cast iron skillet. This stuff in our Wagner wire pan with some bacon grease and eggs and some ramps and maybe a little sliced up bell pepper and some bacon. Wow, you talk about delicious. Let's get us enough for a meal. Let's go. This is a pretty big patch of it. Okay, so we're gonna go right here in the middle. like right here. And I'm gonna take my knife. I don't want to pull it up by the roots. I want to pull it only. I only want to get the lettuce. I do not want to pull this stuff up by the roots, and that can happen really easy. So I'm just gonna find one bunch right here. I see a lot of people just jerk this stuff up by the roots. Look, one little slice. I got a whole handful. Okay. Yum. All right, I'm gonna harvest a little bit more of this and then we'll continue on. Okay, we're gonna make our way out of here. We've harvested enough for us a meal, and that's plenty. Be good stewards when you're out foraging. And I found out that most people that will forage are. Most people are very good stewards. There's some that's not. I'm not going to pretend that all foragers are very ethical and great people, because they're not. The world's made up of all kinds of people, and there is people that will take advantage of it. So I just beg you, be a good steward. Take only what you need and leave the rest. Let's go see what else we can find. Right now I'm walking around a bunch of these tulip poplar trees, and I see it. Take a look here. Big tulip poplar tree. Tulip poplars are notorious. Morel mushroom. That's not a real big one. Let's look around and see if we can find any bigger ones. Oh, I see another one. It's even smaller. Look here. That's a small one. You see it in there? It's a little too small. Let it grow. We might come back a little later and see if how much it's grown. Not going to harvest either one of those. They're both on the smaller side. And that's the only ones I'm seeing around this one tree. That don't mean there's not. Those things are camouflaged very, very good. I think at this higher elevation, we're finally getting to the point where the morels are starting to pop. All right, let's continue on. Bunch more tulip poplars right up here. Let's go take a look. See if we can find any a little bit bigger for the skillet. Morels like tulip poplars, and we are in an area now where there is a bunch of tulip poplars. I mean, a bunch. Somebody out there that's a more experienced morel hunter or mushroom hunter than I am, tell me the answer to this. Will deer eat morels? Because this area is slammed with deer. I mean, there's more deer here than you can shake a stick at. Everywhere you look, you jump one, you see one. There's trails through these woods that look like a highway. And sometimes the morels in here are about absent, even around some of these big tulip poplars. You hardly ever find any, or in years past at least, for the amount that they should be. And I can't help but wonder if the deer eat them. All right, I'm gonna start looking for some more. No more morels at the moment. We're gonna make our way on down this branch. We have had to go around a bunch of deadfalls, and we're gonna try to make our way down through these deadfalls to back to the branch where these two little branches forks join, and see if we can see any more branch lettuce. I've got morels on the brain now. Those two morels we found right up here, both of them's kind of small. One of them really small. There's no way I'd harvest it. And the other one's basically about too small. We'll give them time to grow. But if we don't find no more in this area, we won't harvest them at all. So we're just gonna keep looking. You know, I was talking earlier about men carrying a pocket knife. That's about a thing of the past, it seems like anymore. It's just a shame that we've lost masculinity to Xbox and things of that nature. You know, when I grew up, I got my first pocket knife when I was probably about 7 or 8. My dad took me into an old Western Auto. Does anybody else remember a Western Auto store? Yeah, it was like an auto parts, but they had everything in there. They had guns and everything. And he bought me a little Parker Frost. He let me pick it out. It was a little lock blade, single blade lock blade, Parker Frost. And this whole knife, well folded, it was about maybe 1.5 inches long was all it was. And it was a replica. It almost looked like a buck 110, but it was tiny. On the blade it says Parker Cutlery, USA. And it has a picture of a king cobra on the blade, little bitty. I carried that thing like it was worth $1,000,000 for years. I've still got it. And when we were little, we were almost like feral kids. I mean, we were out in the woods playing all day long. I'm talking when we were little, building forts and swinging on grapevines, catching little speckled brook trout in the creeks and squirrel hunting. We were like feral kids. Back then, nobody thought nothing of that. Everybody that lived in our community were good people, were safe. Around kids, our parents didn't worry about us being out and about. Man, you can't hardly do that no more, and that's a shame. And I grew up with a pocket knife in my pocket. And wanted to be like my dad. My dad always had a pocket knife in his pocket, and I wanted to be the same way. To this day, I carry a pocket knife. When my dad passed away, we went into his kitchen, and there was a drawer there, and that drawer, I knew that's where he kept his pocket knives. And my siblings told me, Darren, go get those pocket knives. You can keep them. And of course, I got them, but I gave them a few of them. But my dad had a whole drawer full of pocket knives. I mean, a drawer full. Most of them old timers. And that what was old timers, the old USA made old timers, the good ones. And what was not old timers was case XXX's. And can't quit looking for Morels. And I've got those knives to this day. I gave my siblings some of them. I gave some of my nephews some of them. Boy, this is a jungle in here. I'm gonna have to bushwhack my way through all this to get down even close to the branch. I'm within probably 25, 30 yards of it, but it is nothing but a wall of ivy, rhododendron, and deadfalls. Let me show you. Right, let's figure us out a path. I'm gonna get in there somehow. Okay, I'm walking on a log about 5 feet off the ground. Okay, I see the creek, or the branch. Let's see if we can get over there. I'm gonna have to put this camera up till I get over there. It's gonna cause me to fall and get killed. I have bushwhacked my way, and I've made it to the confluence of these two branches. Good grief, it was like bushwhacking through some of the thickest stuff you ever been in. Okay. I'll show you the confluence here. Right here. The one where we found the branch led us in earlier, this is the same branch. Okay. Here's the one that went underground. It goes that direction. Comes back out of the ground right up there under all those downfalls. All these deadfalls. And I do not see any more branch lettuce from what I can see. I don't know that we could ever get up in there to see without a chainsaw. Look at that. Holy mackerel. There's no way to get in there. Not without a chainsaw. Okay, we've made our way out of that jungle. And we didn't find any more branch lettuce, but that is a mess down that branch. Good grief, you'd have to have a bulldozer to get through there. Hurricane Helene done a number in this area. Thank you for being with us today on these short outings. We done some foraging. Susan couldn't be with us today, but it's a windy day. The wind's starting to pick up even worse. And but it's been a good day to be out. It's been a great day to be out. Let me rephrase that. And you know, if you're one of those guys that has never considered carrying a pocket knife, maybe you should think about it. I use my pocket knife every day for something, whether it's opening a package, cutting some cardboard boxes open, opening a letter in the mail, cutting twine off of a bale of hay, whatever it is. I use a pocket knife almost daily. Well, I do use it daily. And Susan knows better to ask me, do you have a pocket knife? She knows that's the first thing goes in my pocket every day. And she's got to where she carries one when she's out at the farm and we're out in the woods. She'll stick a little pocket knife. She bought her a little small one and she'll put it in her pocket. Because I guess she got tired of always asking me, can I borrow your pocket knife? So, you know, it's one of those things. Manhood and masculinity seems to be kind of a deteriorating quality. And if you don't carry a pocket knife, you may be just as much of a man as anybody around and you don't carry one. But if you don't, you ought to consider it. Consider carrying yourself a pocket knife. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate today's. We went on a little trip in the woods foraging, found some food, looking forward to it. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. And I pray God blesses you and your family. Get outside.